I watched a man get instant karma in the emergency room after he threatened a nurse for making him wait. It was the most satisfying moment of my otherwise terrible day, and I still think about it 3 years later. I was at the ER with my 7-year-old daughter who had fallen off her bike and needed stitches on her chin. The waiting room was packed per a multi-car accident had happened an hour earlier, and the staff was overwhelmed. Ex-Mession was frustrated, but most people understood the situation. He had arrived about 20 minutes after us, holding his wrist and loudly announcing to everyone that he was pretty sure it's broken. When the triage nurse explained, "You'd need to wait like everyone else," he became increasingly agitated. "Do you know who I am?" he demanded, loud enough for the entire waiting room to hear. "I am a personal injury attorney. I know how the system works." The nurse, a petite woman who looked like she was nearing the end of a 12-hour shift, calmly explained that patients were seen based on medical priority, not arrival time or profession. This set him off. "My time is worth $400 an hour," he snapped. "Every minute I sit here is costing someone money." A mother with a feverish toddler rolled her eyes. An elderly man with an oxygen tank shook his head. My daughter whispered, "Daddy, that man is being really mean." For the next 30 minutes, this attorney paced the waiting area, making calls on speakerphone, describing how incompetent the hospital staff was, and periodically approaching the desk to demand immediate attention. After seeing 3 more critical patients called back, he stormed up to the desk and leaned over it, pointing his finger in the nurse's face. "Either you take me back right now, or I'll make sure this hospital regrets it. I can have your job with one phone call." The nurse's expression didn't change, but she picked up the phone. I assume she was calling security, but instead she calmly said, "Dr. Winters, could you come to triage for a consultation?" Within minutes, a tall woman in a white coat appeared. The attorney immediately switched tactics, smiling and extending his hand. "Finally, someone who understands the situation. I've been waiting over an hour with a broken wrist." Dr. Winters didn't shake his hand. Instead, she asked, "Sir, did you threaten my staff member?" I simply explained that my time is valuable and yes or no, did you threaten her job? The waiting room had gone silent. Ex-Mession was watching. "Look," he said, lowering his voice. "I was just frustrated. Now about my wrist." "Sir," Dr. Winters interrupted, "let me explain how emergency medicine works. That child," she pointed to a quiet teenager with a towel wrapped around his arm, "has a compound fracture with bone exposure. The elderly woman behind you has cardiac symptoms. The toddler over there has a 104 degree fever." She stepped closer to him. "Your wrist, which you've been gesturing with quite animatedly for the past hour, is likely sprained, not broken. But we won't know because you won't be finding out here." The attorney's face reddened. "What are you saying?" "I am saying there are 3 other hospitals in this city. I suggest you try one of them. We don't tolerate abuse of our staff, especially during a mass casualty event." A security guard appeared as if from nowhere. The attorney looked around, perhaps hoping to find support from the other waiting patients. Instead, he met a room full of people trying not to smile. As security escorted him out, he shouted about lawsuits and board complaints. The moment the door closed behind him, the waiting room erupted in spontaneous applause. Dr. Winters turned to the nurse. "You okay, Maria?" The nurse nodded, then called the next patient, my daughter. As we followed her back, my daughter asked, "Is that man going to be in trouble?" The nurse smiled for what was probably the first time that day. "No, honey, but he is going to wait all over again at another hospital. Sometimes it just needs someone with authority to say not today." My daughter needed 7 stitches, but she left with something more valuable. Cardall, seeing that bullies don't always win, even when they're adults in expensive suits.